right, aloha and welcome to another episode of the Own the Outcome podcast. Tyler Devereaux, and I'm here with, the one and only Ryan Pineda. What's up, bro?
It's good to see you again, man. It's probably been a year when I see you in Miami?
Holy hell, it has been a year, man. Yeah, that was it was August 2020. That's crazy. That was a year ago. Yeah, that was the last time.
Yeah.
Do you look bigger, bro?
Bro, I've been on those peptides, man. Just freaking trying to get swole.
That's it, man. I can see it. It's a game changer. Huh? I've been taking that kind of stuff for a while now, and dude, it's a hack. It's a beautiful hack that I love.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, dude. It's really crazy how good it is.
I mean, you still have to work out, you still have to do those things, but I love doing that anyway. It just gives you an upper edge as you're working out and doing those things. So How long ago did you start them?
About 3 months ago. I'm up about like 12 pounds, and I've lost fat too. So it's kind of interesting. Like my diet's a little different. My workouts are the same. So it's just interesting to see the true effect.
Dude, science is crazy, man. Agreed. Well, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not going to talk about your peptides and your physique. Maybe we'll get more into it. But dude, if you guys do not know who Ryan Pineda is, you're one of the few people on the planet who do not. Ryan's a beast, man. He is, started out playing some pro baseball, went into then he's starting a bunch of businesses. And so seeing success, massive amounts of success, and has blown up on, all of his businesses, social media, all those kind of things. And so I want to lead with this question, bro, because I watch you from distance. A lot of people watch you from distance. It's like, man, what makes Ryan Pineda great? Like, what's your separator? And I don't want the, humble answer either. I want to know, like, truly, like, what do you believe is your separator?
Dude, I'm just the best, dude. What else do you want me to say? I'll go the anti-humble. I'm the best. I don't know. You just are. You are. You got it or you don't.
Have you always been that way?
No, I do strive to be the best. So I'll tell you this. I think there's probably two separators. One is just like an internal drive that can't be taught. I mean, people ask like, dude, what keeps you motivated? How do you? I'm like, honestly, I have no idea how to explain it. Like, I think that some people are just wired and God made me a certain way. And that's just, hey, whatever it is I'm doing, I just want to be the best, or I don't want to play the game. That's literally what it comes down to. So growing up in my youth, like, baseball was the thing. And I would get so mad if I wasn't the best player on my team. I'm like, dude, and it wasn't like a jealousy thing or it was just like, oh, okay, that guy's the best. Like, well, it's time to step it up, baby. Like, I can see it. Let's go. And then, as time went on and I pursued other things, it was like, okay, house flipping. I'm going to get into that. And I was a nobody. I hadn't flipped a house. And I remember seeing the best, guy, at least that I knew of. And I was like, this guy's a normal dude. Like, how long's he been doing it? I'm like, I can beat that in half the time, at least. Yeah. And, you just walk into it. But here's the thing of hindsight. Well, not hindsight, but I guess foresight. When you have somebody who's already done it before you, I mean, if you're good, you should do it way quicker. You don't have to make the mistakes they made. Like, you get to learn from it. So it's kind of unfair. And I would hope that, like, people who have learned from me could do it quicker than me, just because I've had to make mistakes, right? So anyways, like, that attitude with house flipping, that attitude has always been there with social media. And, like, even today, as I there's something else I'm pursuing now that, like, is now that thing I've got my target on, and I can talk about that later. But, I think that the strive to be the best, not just be acceptable at whatever you're doing, because that's what most people do. They're just like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I want to make $100,000 doing this. Like, I just want to play the game. And I'm like, nah, dude, I want to be the best. Same thing with golf. Like, my goal now with golf, that's not the thing I was even talking about, but I forgot. Like, I want to be the best celebrity golfer. So, like, for me, I got to do two things. I got to become a better celebrity, like, I got to be more known, and then I got to keep getting better at golf. And I think I can do those two things. But
love it.
Yeah.
I love the answer, though.
Yeah.
No, because it is, dude. It's just an internal decision. And I agree with you. I find myself getting frustrated sometimes with others, and like, I have a little boy, Paxton, right? He's 8 years old, and he is the nicest, kindest kid in the world. But that competitive edge isn't quite there. And I'm very much have always had a competitive edge. Just like you said, it's like, whoever the best is, Like, dude, it's not that I want to be like them. I want to be better than them. I don't want to be at their standard. I want to be above their standard. Like, it has been a drive, and it's an obsessive thing. And that's beauty. That's a beautiful thing, and it can be a downside too. But that drive, I love that you said that it's internal and sometimes it can't be taught, because I don't know how to describe it either, bro. I just don't. I don't get it. But it's moving towards anything or whatever it is you're doing, you're going to do your best at it. But here's our question with it, because sometimes as you're pursuing something new or you see somebody, how many levels up do you compare yourself, right? Like in the business world, bro, the best in the business world is like,
Yeah.
you're comparing, there's many levels there. So how many levels up do you compare yourself so that you don't get frustrated with where you're currently at?
Yeah, I think it's important to have peers, people who are close to your current level. And then there's the goals, there's the mentors, right? And so like, I'll tell you, we were both, that's how we met in person the first time at Cardone's office. And it's like,
Yep.
to see where he's at, you're like, dang, dude, this is a whole nother level. Like, I'm not close there yet,
Yeah.
But I look at the big picture of it. I'm like, all right, well, Grant's, twice my age. And, when he was 34, he wasn't anywhere near where I'm at. And I'm like, therefore,
Mm-hmm.
I could be there one day. It should be at half the time and whatever else, but like, that's how I see it, right? So I don't ever get like discouraged. And even if I see someone younger than me killing it, I don't like also get discouraged about that. I'm like, dang, dude, that guy's killing it. Um, it goes back to, what are you trying to be the best at? And so you're always running your own race. And so for me, it's like, I just want to be the best at whatever race I'm currently competing in.
Uh,
And that's it, man. Because it's like, dude, when you're in high school, I'm not as good as these big league baseball players, like, but I'm trying to be the best at, the high school level of what we're doing and who we're playing against. And once you're the best on your team, then it's like, how do I be the best in the city? Okay, cool. Well, how do I be one of the best in the country? So like, there's levels that it's just, you got to
yeah.
constantly try to be the best at wherever you're at.
Yeah, I think that's a hack. Like what you just said is a mindset, but it's also a hack. It's like it's easier to do that in sports, and as you're growing up with, you're in high school. It's like you compare yourself with those in high school, and then you go to college, and then you go to the pros. In business, it's like where's high school, where's the pros, where's it's easy to kind of blur those lines. But like you said, you start and you check off the list. It's like, how can I be the best in this industry? How can I be the best? How can I be the best in this industry in this geographic location? And then in a bigger one, and then you grow from there. I love that.
Yeah,
So your
100%.
confidence, though, because you're a very confident person. You hold yourself with tons of confidence. It's actually one of the first things that I noticed about you when I first met you. I think I'd just gotten off like the helicopter or something, and we ran into each other, and you just seemed just confident. Which I mean, most of the people there are. That's why they're in the room. That's why we're in the room. But do you believe sports had an impact on that, and that it has just continued to grow, grow, and grow and grow, or is it just how you live your life every day and the values that you live by that brings the confidence? What is it?
Yeah, I think sports obviously play a role when you're young. You meet a lot of people who, I'll tell you this, there's a lot of successful people who are not confident, who are extremely insecure. And I'm not going to name names, but I know many of them. And there's some of the most successful people you ever meet, worth multiple nine figures. And like online, you're like, man, dude, this guy, he's just amazing. And then behind the scenes, they still might be an amazing person. Don't get me wrong. But like,
Yeah.
the insecurity is very real. You can see it no matter how much they make, no matter how much success they have. So like, to me, that's not confidence. I'm like, hey, this
Mhm.
guy still is chasing something, because he just doesn't have that, you know, self-worth on whatever it is. But for me, I think it always comes back down to faith. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, I know where I'm going when I die. And I know that, you know, you got to have the proper perspective on life. If I know that eternity is far longer than however many years I'm on this earth, then I need to answer the question of what happens after all of this. And if I can, answer that question, that then is going to dictate, like, because in business, you backtrack your goals, right? You're like, hey, this is the goal. How do I get there, right? So if I say, hey, well, if there's only one thing certain in life, that I die, okay, the first thing I need to figure out is what happens. And then if you're certain on that, okay, and nobody can be 100% certain, that's why it's called faith, okay? If you have faith and that's what's happening, then you backtrack from there. And you're like, well, hey, how do I, make the most of my time here, while I go there, right? Now, it doesn't mean like I'm trying to earn my way into heaven or any of those things. What it means is, okay, well, if I know that that's the goal and that's where I believe happens, then I should probably listen to the guy who was here telling me how to live life, and that's Jesus. And so, for me, it's like all based around what the Bible is telling me and how to live and how to have the proper perspective. And so, what you realize is in life, your business is always going to be like this, your marriage, there's going to be highs and lows, your relationship with your kids, your friends, nothing is ever like even flat or up. It just doesn't exist. But your relationship with God is like, God is the only one who has consistent. That's why firm foundation, right? And so for me, it's just like, I already know no matter what's happening in my life around here, I'm good. And so it didn't even ever matter when I was first getting started in flipping and like I didn't have money and I wasn't like successful, I was still ultra confident. You would ask me then, I would have been like, yep, I'm about to crush this thing because I know that this is what God's calling me to do. And that's just kind of how I've lived my life. I mean, I grew up in the church. I've always had a lot of faith. And, when you've had faith for a long time and it constantly gets reinforced when you take a step out and, it ends up working, or even if it doesn't work the way you think, but you realize in hindsight that it was always for your good, you're like, man, what do I got to even worry about any of this stuff? Like, I'm good. And then you reach certain levels of success and you start to hang around people who don't have faith. And you see that they're still not fulfilled. They're still having anxiety. They're still depressed. They're still having divorce. They're still having all these problems. And I'm like, yep, you're lacking what truly makes you confident.
Fact, bro. It's interesting, man, because confidence means with faith. And I'm very spiritual. And it's something I resonate with you on because it is, I can't imagine going through life, any aspect of life, without a foundation of faith. I just don't. I literally can't wrap my head around it. But what it does in any given situation, it's like, man, if you think even any religion 101, it's, man, you're magnifying the future but you're taking actions now. And I think that what most people do is they magnify where they're at right now in their current state, which is not where they want to be, which means their confidence is limited and they don't think they can get to where they're going. You magnify the future, take actions today to get you there. Happiness is there, confidence is there, all those kind of things fall in line. But it's all about staying in line with your value base. And where that changed for me is when I became a dad, because I'm very I'm hard on myself. That's what makes me great, but I'm hard on myself. It's like I want to push. But if I do something that's like, I mess up, I beat myself up. And then I see my kids and I become a dad and it's like, they make a mistake. It's like, man, I don't care about the mistake at all. It's, did you learn from it? How did you grow from it? Do you acknowledge it? And the other side of it, I want my kids to have everything. Like your little kids, you have 2, correct?
Yep. Oh no, I have 3 now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I just had a newborn, so I got a 3-month-old.
Congrats, bro. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Your kids, you want your kids to have everything. Like, it doesn't mean you just give them everything, but you want them to have everything. Yes?
Yep.
I just believe God's no different, man. So like that foundation is beautiful and God wants you to have everything. You just have to earn it, just like your kids have to earn it,
Yeah.
So tell me about your companies. You have, how many different companies do you run right now?
Man. I've started a bunch. I've sold some, shut some down. The main companies at this point are, my education company, Wealthy Investor, and that's expanded into teaching. I mean, it used to be just house flipping and wholesaling, and now, we teach a bunch of aspects of real estate investing and business. And so, that's an 8-figure business. We have
Is that the one that Zasha went through?
Yep.
Zasha
Yep.
Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. Zasha
He
was
lives out here in Maui as well.
Yeah, Zasha was one of my original students 4 years ago. She's amazing.
Awesome.
There was
Yeah, she's
eight
so great.
there was 8 students, and at the time she was an engineer, just trying to figure it out. And I think she had done like 1 or 2 deals. And since then, I mean, she's just been killing it. She's been doing syndications. She's built a portfolio, flips. Like, she's amazing.
She's
Quit her
so
job.
great, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
She
yeah,
loves you, bro.
yeah, she's great. So
Yeah.
we have that business. Home Run Offer is my house flipping and wholesaling business, and so I've had that for almost a decade now, and we'll still do over 100 deals a year, and I love it. We have Pineda Media, which is new. It's about it's less than a year old. I don't know how many months, but basically it's helping entrepreneurs become great at social media and building their personal brands, and also figuring out how to monetize. That's something that didn't occur to me as like a big need with it, because for me, I was like, hey guys, like, you already got a business, like, let's do content and let's get traffic to it and everything else. And so, we helped teach them how to make content, but then I realized, like, oh, they also have problems with offers and the back end and leads. And so now we've gone on.
And that's the most important part of all of it.
Yeah. And yeah, because me as a marketer, I'm always thinking, hey, how do I just get traffic and attention and everything else? Because that's that's where it all starts. You could have the best offer ever, but if nobody knows about it, then what's the point? And I've realized, like, okay, we got to help them over there. So anyways, with Pineda Media, we do training, consulting, coaching, but we also will edit videos, and we have studios where we just produce all their content. So yeah, I like that business a lot.
By the way, I have a couple students. So we have an education company, and I have a couple of my students who went through and worked with Pineda Media, and
cool.
all said great things. Yeah, came to your office, recorded a bunch. They told me about your different studios. All said great things, man. It's awesome. And you can tell from the content they're putting out, man. The content's coming out. I'm like, oh,
they're putting out better content now.
Oh yeah, come on, bro. Yeah, so much better.
There we go. That's the goal. There we go. We have Pineda Capital, which is what you do. So we're syndicating, we're buying apartments. We recently just got in a 130 unit in Des Moines. So I think we're up to 600 something units now. So that's good.
What's your, are you guys focusing primarily on apartments or all commercial, or what's your focus there?
Right now, it's just been apartments. To be truthful, it's like the syndication game is great. I mean, obviously you do it at such a great level, and that's what you're teaching. For me, it's a weird business, because like, you don't really make money until you sell. And it's so long tailed, where I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's there, and like, I'm told that I'll make money, but I don't currently, like, it's just, you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, I'm told by everyone that at some point I'm actually going to make money. But so I mean, look, I can see the math and why it makes sense and everything. And I know that I'll be doing syndication for a long time. So right now it's just kind of, it's there, and we're learning, and we're raising money and doing deals, but I'm not trying to like light it on fire and go nuts with it. It's just kind of like as it comes. So we got that.
It's wealth creation. It's like, and I can relate to that, man. It's funny because people will be like, man, all of a sudden your wealth changed so rapidly. I was like, no, it didn't. I've been holding these properties and these apartments for a long freaking time. Once again, not making hardly anything. And then once you start exiting and rolling over, well, that's where you start to reap the rewards. But it's a long-term play for sure.
Exactly. So, we've got that. I've got my NFT project, Tykes, and so that's been great. Obviously crypto and everything it just goes through its bulls and its bears. And so, we don't talk about it a ton right now, but we're doing deals in there. A lot of great things are happening. It was the #1 project in the world when we launched. So that was crazy. And, I think in the next bull run, I'm going to be really prepared in the crypto markets. Like, I'm excited for that. Because I'm a big believer in crypto and how it can affect real estate down the road. But Yeah, I mean, those are the main businesses.
What's your favorite one? Like out of all those, is there one or one role, I guess, not necessarily business, but one role that you play that's like your favorite one to do or focus on?
My favorite role. I'll tell you this, right? I spend most of my okay, let me take a step back. The last couple of years, I've spent most of my time building my brand on social media. And so if you were to ask the team, like, hey, where, like, how involved is Ryan? They'd be like, yeah, I mean, like, he tweaks things and he's involved, but like, he's definitely not in the day to day. Like, he's out there making videos, content, building the brand, and that's helping all the companies, getting traffic and all that other stuff, right? And so that was obviously a wise move. It's helped us get to this point, and it's great. Now it's kind of at the point where the content, everything, to be truthful, is pretty autopilot. I'll spend maybe 3-4 hours a week filming, and that's about it,
Nice.
right? And so, and we produce so much, so it's truly a machine, and it's great. And it took years to figure it out and build it. But now I'm at the point where I'm actually back in the businesses, and it's not like being in the businesses where making sales calls and stuff. It's about being back in it and building the foundation to try and go to 9 figures. That's literally what it is. And I've realized as time has gone on and lots of trial and error, that's like, in order to do 9 figures in a business, not like buy 9 figures of real estate, but like to do 9 figures of like revenue to my business, not like collecting rent for my investors or like, people do like weird things to say they're not. I'm saying like, I'm trying to like make 9 figures.
Yeah.
Not have a 9-figure valuation either. Like, I've realized the way you get there is sales and marketing. And in order to get there, I mean, you got to have great products and offers too. So you do need like great, all that. But like, in order to first scale, it always becomes sales and marketing. And, over time, the only way I've realized to like truly market at scale is you got to pay. You got to do paid ads, and you got to get great at that. Because I was kind of fortunate that these businesses got built off organic. And so there was no risk. When you're not having to pay for all these leads that everyone else is used to, you can kind of like make a lot of mistakes and it won't hurt you because it was free.
Mm-hmm.
And it also makes your sales team not have to like understand true selling because everybody's hot. So it created a lot of bad habits, but at the end of the day, I ended up sitting there and realizing that, man, okay, after trying lots of media buyers, after hiring different sales leaders and all the stuff, I was like, I have to go in and literally become the best at this. And that's just what it's going to take. Just like everything else in my life. It's like, if I want to be a great golfer, no one's going to do it but me. I want to become a great social media guy. Like, I'm just going to have to go do it to be the best. And so like, we've been outsourcing a lot of this stuff for many years of like media buying and this and that. I'm like, I have to literally build it myself, go through the trial, the error, hire the consultants, and build it in-house for us to truly get to 9 figures, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take getting dialed in on customer acquisition and ads and leads, and then dialing in the funnels and the processes and all those things on the sales side. And I've been relying on everyone else to do it. And now I've decided I'm just going to be the best at it.
Yeah. I can relate to that a ton, and it's a daunting thing, man, because you delegate, that's beautiful. You scale, that's beautiful, but then you realize that there are things that broken spokes or missing spokes, and to come back in, like, you have to come back in. It's your baby, man. Nobody's going to care about it as much as you're going to care about it. And
nobody's going to take it to 9 figures. Like, who else would be able to do it? Like, they're building their own thing.
Yeah, at that point, for real though, that's exactly what happens. And if you don't know, I used to believe you become very, very so risky to not know any of it, because now you're literally just relying on and if you have one, you have none. Like, if you have one person that runs the ship of whatever it is you're doing, you have none, man. They'll take the freaking basket and the eggs, all of it. It's just crazy. So your social media growth, all that stuff has been organic. There's no paid ads that you've been doing or are you doing paid ads now?
Well, I mean, we run paid ads now, like for like programs and event, but that doesn't like help your following or anything. Those are just paid
Yeah.
ads for the businesses. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they come into the back end and follow you from there, but yeah, it just leads into your business.
Yeah.
So, your events that you do, I know that you have WealthCon coming up here, what, in a month or two or something?
Yep. Early January. Tim Tebow, Thatch, bunch of people.
Yeah. So what do you do at WealthCon? Tell me about it. I've never been to one of your WealthCon events.
Oh,
What's
bro,
the focus?
we gotta get you there, dude.
We do need to make that happen.
One of the problems is the focus is kind of not really focused, which is kind of my problem in general in life because I'm so like, this is one of the problems great entrepreneurs have is that you start to think that you could do anything because like you do a lot of things and then you're like, yeah, I don't know. There's kind of like a bunch of crap going on here now, and I don't know how I ended up in this place. And
Bro, talking to you makes me feel better. It makes me realize that I'm not the only one. God, thank God, bro.
yeah,
That's exactly it.
yep. And, you hear these lessons from people, focus on one thing, do this, do that. And, I look at it now and I'm like, yeah, I am focused more because I used to have more businesses, like I said. And, people would still say, well, dude, you just need like one of just like get rid of everything else. And I'm like, nah, dude, like freaking, that's dumb. But at the end of the day, I have realized that focus does matter. Depending on where you're at, you need to decide, like, I'm trying to put the best way to frame this. In order to become great at something, you have to focus all in on it. And so for me, I kind of was explaining it earlier that, yeah, I just focused on one thing, like until I mastered it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to focus on playing baseball. All right. I'm here. Hey, I'm just going to focus on flipping houses. All right, cool. We did it. We're here. Hey, I'm going to focus on social media. All right, I'm going to spend the years devoting to this. Boom, we're here. And now I'm saying, hey, I'm going to focus on digital marketing and, building out that engine. And I'm going to focus on it for probably the next few years until I'm the best. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I want people to be like, no, dude, it's insane that he's that good at all those things you see behind the scenes. And, I think that like with WealthCon, it'll be interesting to see how it happens because right now we throw an event every quarter and there's over 1,000 investors and entrepreneurs there every quarter. I don't know anyone else in the industry that does it.
Yeah.
And once again, I didn't set out to do it. You were bringing up Zasha earlier. The way all this started was I started a coaching program in January of 2020. Zasha was one of our first original 8 students. And we were just like, going through the program. It was just 8 of us. And I was like, guys, we should meet. And they were like, yeah, that would be great. I was like, all right, cool. Here's the date. We're going to go to my house in my living room and we're all just going to mastermind for a day. And they're like, sick. This is going to be amazing. And so we all came to my house in like January or February of 2020 or something. And it was literally every original student. And we were just sitting in my living room, having a good time, doing our things. Asha flew in from Maui. Someone flew in from Ohio, California. It was a very, like, there was maybe like 1 or 2 people in Vegas. And that was the first mastermind. And from there, what happened was they were like, yeah, we should like try and meet like once a quarter. And I was like, that's a good idea. That was really fun. And so we were going to meet in like April. And then guess what? COVID happened. And so we didn't do April, but then, the restrictions were done. And then so in July of 2020, we met and then we did it again. And sure enough, the program grew. And so I was like, crap, like, okay, we'll meet at my office now. So we meet in my office. Then that gets too full. So then we go get this building that could fit 100 people. And we meet there. And all this, by the way, was one day. And like, then we start having drinks after. And then we get too many people again. And so I do a hotel for the first time. I'm like, well, freak, if I'm going to do this hotel, I might as well make it 2 days. So it becomes this 2-day event. And I'm like, you know what? Now I'm paying all this money. I might as well sell tickets to it for those who aren't in coaching, and then maybe they'll buy coaching and it'll like offset. So then, we do that. Then we move up to a room that's like 350 people. This is happening every quarter. And then finally I'm like, all right, when was this? This was like October of 2022. I get my first big hotel, the Mandalay Bay, and I got the Hormozis headlighting it. And I was like, I don't even know how many tickets we're gonna sell like this, but it's gonna be tight. And then we sold like 700. And I was like, this is crazy that this just keeps like every quarter, like it just developed. And then, in January of this year, we had over 1,000 and we've done over 1,000 ever since. And like, yeah, dude, I don't even know how it became what
Good for you, bro.
To be honest, dude. And so to answer your original question of what is it about, originally it was strictly about flipping and wholesaling for my students. And then as time went on and I started getting speakers, like, as you know, like, dude, I ain't trying to hear a bunch of real estate people all day. Like, I want to get cool people, like all these influencers and people in other industries. And, so I start bringing entrepreneurs up. I start bringing these guys up, and like people are loving it. They're like, dude, this event is great. And so now I advertise it as, real estate, entrepreneurship, and social media. Like if you're trying to grow in any of those things, you are going to hear speakers on all of those different topics. And even this last one, I'm always testing new things. Earlier in the year, I was like, you know what? Let's do a prayer before one of the days. And so I got one of like our little breakout rooms, and I was like, anyone wants to come to prayer at 7:30? And this is like way early after like a long night, right? And I'm like, I don't know if you show up. Because I'm thinking we're gonna have a small prayer. And sure enough, like 300 people showed up. And I was like,
oh, great, bro.
I was like, this is not even like this is not even like a prayer thing anymore. I thought we were just going to do like this small group. Now I got to give a sermon. And so I'm up here winging a sermon now for like 30 minutes. And like, we're having altar calls and all this. And I was like, dang, that was crazy. So then the next time I do it again, and somebody goes, hey, we should just do worship. We should get like a guitar and everything. And I was like, that's a good idea. And I go, actually, no, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to get a band and go full on stage production. And we're going to have like a full on service. And so that's what we did. Yeah. This last one, I got my buddy Jordan Feliz, who's a really famous Christian singer, and I got him to lead worship. And then I had Tim Ross, who has the biggest Christian podcast in the world, come and give a sermon. And it was just part of the event. And literally,
love it, bro.
People went nuts. They loved it. Even people who aren't, they were like, that was incredible. I didn't know church was like that. I'm used to being like in Catholic church where it's all lame.
Yeah,
I'm like, nah, dude, this is different. So yeah, I don't know how it keeps because I just literally do what I think is cool, and that's how it is. What it is.
I love it, bro. I love that you're just willing to do that. Like so many people shy away from the religion thing, and it's dude, people need it, man. People want it. People crave it. And you provide a platform. I even know that you do a Bible study. I know a couple of my, people that are within our network even go to that Bible study with you, and they talk about that. I love that kind of stuff too, man. I love it. I love that I actually saw that. I remember you posting about the worship section there, or worship session at your event. Now knowing how it all came fast, that's awesome, dude. I love it.
Yeah, and by the way, my wife put together the worship service, so like she plays the keys and everything, and so she's awesome.
Nice.
But you know what's kind of crappy about it is like we always have this running joke that, to go back to the confidence thing, I'm like, I could sing. I should be in the worship team. She's like, you suck. You could not be in the worship team. And all of a sudden, like the running joke was, do not let Ryan go on stage and just start singing and do it. He's gonna ruin the whole thing. Don't let him do it. And so I'm like, dude, if I can't even sing even in the background with like turn the volume off, if I can't even sing in the background in my own event, when is this going to happen? And my wife is the director, and I still can't make the cut.
Good for her, dude. She's smart lady, dude. I love it.
So yeah,
I love it.
It's funny.
Okay, bro, I have a question for you, and we can kind of maybe even wrap on this, but I love your journey, and I love how you document your journey, how you talk about your journey. But I think what I loved at the very beginning is you said this that sparked my interest. You said, businesses are always going to be up and down, relationships up and down, life is up and down, like highs, lows, challenges, like that shit happens. Like it's obviously that happens to me, it happens to you, but people, we tell our story where people tell this story that, you're different and that things are always just that upward slope. So a question is, what is a failure that you've experienced or a struggle that you've experienced that, a lot of people may not know about? And how did it affect you and how did you overcome it?
Um, so what's an experience that I had to go through that I had to overcome? Is that basically the question?
Yeah, just a failure,
Yeah.
a failed business, a failed attempt, a failed whatever, or just a struggle, anything like that.
Yeah. So actually at the last WealthCon, I gave a very vulnerable presentation that I came up with of how I felt like the last 12 months have been the hardest 12 months of my entire life. And, you like go watch content and you see growth and you're like, oh, dude, Ryan's like killing it, whatever, right? And I was like, guys, that's not the case. Like this last 12 months was easily the most draining in lots of different ways. And as I was writing the presentation, I was praying. I'm like, God, what do you want me to talk about? And I felt like he was like, look, I know you didn't want to talk about it a ton while you were in the storm, but now that like you're exiting the storm, I want you to talk about it. And, I started to write down all the ideas for this presentation. And as I was writing down like all the negative things that had happened in the last 12 months, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of stuff. I was like, I did not realize that many negative things happened, because as you're going through it, you just don't know. You're just like, all right, that's one, because we're business owners.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, that's a problem. All right, like, let's solve it. All right, there's another. Yep. Like, I'm used to solving problems. Like, they don't get me emotionally drained. It's just like, yeah, this is what it is. I got to solve it. And as I wrote it down, I was like, wow, dang, I should have got like taken out. I shouldn't have survived that. Right. And then it makes you realize why God is so good, because, like I truly think, I'm like, man, there's no way. So anyways, I talked about like some individual events and I said, hey guys, look, okay, one thing, okay, the real estate market went ultra cold. So, I would guess 90% of real estate investors have been hurting the last 12 months. I don't care what sector you're in. And I was no different, right? Like I lost millions on flips that went bad. And I talked about how I got through that, how, going wholesaling and creative finance allowed me to like patch the cash flow issues, and how selling rentals helped with it, because, you stockpile all these rentals and it's like, all right, well, it's good to have these piggy banks for a rainy day, because, I had to sell some of them to patch up the issues. And, so I talked about just like what a truly really good real estate investor does is they have different cash conversion cycles in real estate. They can make money quick through wholesaling, through flipping. They also have long-term assets, whether that's a single family rental, where it's an apartment built, whatever. But like if you have just different conversion cycles happening all the time, because real estate's an illiquid asset, it's important to figure out how you can just get different money coming in different places. Because I know friends who like only do development, and I'm like, dude, that's a scary place to be, because like you have no way to make money today. So like that was one lesson. Another thing I talked about was, I shut down a couple of businesses and I had to deal with the ramifications from that. I had to deal with lawsuits. I had to deal with loss. I had to deal with reputation being hurt. I had to deal with, people not liking you for the first time, really. Because, like in the internet, people are going to say whatever they say, but like up to this point, people who've been customers have been fine, and, dealing when things don't go right, even if it's out of your control or whatever the case is, that's a tough situation. So I talked about what that was like. I even talked about my marriage and how, my wife was pregnant during all of this, and how, when you're going through a storm, in my mind, I'm like, hey, like this is, like I gotta like bear down and go crush this out, right? But, I'm not properly communicating with her about like, hey, these are the things that are happening. I'm just like, hey, she doesn't need to worry about it. Like, I'll get this good. But then like what she sees is, oh man, he's like, working at home now. He's doing all, because I used to never do that. I was able to get all my work done by 5, and and literally it's been that way for 9 years of marriage. And now she's seeing me, on the phone all the time at home, like trying to fix these things and all that. And I didn't properly communicate that, hey, like, I don't want to be doing this either. This is not one of those things of what I see most entrepreneurs do, where it's about ambition, and they let ambition, ruin everything of like, oh man, well, I got to grow, we're scaling, and like, I got to put in the extra work and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not what this was. This was like, hey, bunch of crap is like all happening at once, and I have no choice but to, basically patch the ship and make sure that the ship gets to its destination. This is not me trying to go buy a mega yacht and like do that. Yeah. There's a difference. And, once we explained and like, everything that she was feeling and what I was feeling and everything else, like it was all good. But it was like this big lesson of, because to me, it was like common sense. I was like, I haven't done this in the 9 years we've been married. You think like all of a sudden I wouldn't do this unless I think that it was necessary? But that's not how she thought, and that's not what she thought. And you realize that, like, yeah, I mean, what you think, unless you actually say it and verbalize it and communicate it, is not what somebody else, even your spouse, the person who probably knows you better than anyone. And so that was a huge lesson about communicating with your spouse and everything else. And then there was one other lesson, but like the conclusion of it was, I looked at, okay, these are all the things that have happened in the last 12 months that have been harder than anything I've ever had to deal with. And I said, but let's look at what God has added into my life. And then you start looking at all the things God added. And you're like, oh man, like, look at this business, look at this relationship, look at this opportunity, I have a son, 3 months. You start looking at all these different things. I celebrated 10 years of marriage. And you're like, wow, no wonder I didn't think about the losses. Like, I've also had a lot of wins. And you think about, just this idea of pruning that, God is, in order to grow, you have to be pruned. You just can't keep adding crap to your plate. You add a bunch of stuff, you prune it down, and then that prepares you for the next level. And then you got to do it again. Mm-hmm. And then it's a cycle of going like this up. And that's what I felt like. And that's what like the message was as I wrote it. And, the message too was like, hey guys, guess what? You want to grow, right? Well, pruning hurts. Hose does not want to get cut and like chopped off, but that's what it takes to get to the next level. And so that was like the big realization.
Bro, thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for sharing that. I can relate to it on so many fronts. Like, actually, my wife, man, her name's Brittany. She's a beast, man. Like, she is amazing. She's like the most loving, supportive. Like, she's a freaking amazing person. Her dream, bro, is live here in Maui. Like, that's her dream. And I love Maui. I can live in lots of places. That's her dream. We're about to move from Maui to Orlando for not permanently, but we're going to move there for the first quarter of 2024. And we're doing that, man, to stabilize. Once again, same things that you just talked about. There's lots of stuff that's happening in my businesses and things that I need to go and navigate the ship. My headquarters is there. I got to go make sure it happens. And having that conversation with my wife was shitty. It was shitty. But to your point, I think something that separates you, and I know that separates me, fact, I know for sure, is that in the moment, I'm focusing on the controllables of what I can control. And I'm also finding the gratitude within every single struggle and every single challenge, because there is additions, no matter what, if you're looking for them. You just got to look for them. I think a lot of people don't recognize them. So,
yeah.
I love it, man. Thank you for sharing that, bro. It's powerful.
Yeah.
So, dude, you're a stud. Last question I'll ask you is this. What's next for Ryan Pineda? Like, what's in the horizon, bro? What's next?
Dude, hopefully no new endeavors. Like I said, I'm just trying to become the best at digital marketing. That just happens to be my focus these days as of like a month ago. So it's a new endeavor.
Yeah, I love it though.
yeah, I mean, that's what's next. I want to become great at, all that stuff, because I know that skill is going to serve me well for the rest of my life. And so I'm all about developing skills that, are necessary.
Yeah. Who are the mentors that you have right now that you're, working with to help you through that?
Um, what's interesting is people have asked me that before. They're like, who are your mentors? And I mean, I've joined a lot of masterminds. I've hired a lot of consultants and coaches and things. And the benefit of growing on social media and everything is that, like, a lot of people reach out to you, and like your network becomes really big. And so, like, for me at this point, man, it's like I can almost get in touch with anyone that I truly want to get in touch with. And it's a blessing. And so, like, for me, if I was to say, like, who's your current mentor? I mean, like, I meet with one of my pastors every week, once a week for an hour, and we have a phone call. And like, that's like the true mentorship that I get. And then as far as like the digital marketing and the business stuff, I'm just blessed that I can literally reach out to the best people in the world and just ask them questions as I go along. And I understand people's time is valuable. And so I'm like, hey, can you come here for like 2 days and just build my stuff for me? Like, no, I'm like, hey, I'm going to, like, you got a course, right? And like, whether I buy the course they give, I don't care. I'm like, hey, dude, whatever, right? And most of the time, I'm like, no, dude, bro, like, just watch this. I'll be like, okay, I will take the time to go watch the course and learn the basics and the fundamentals. Like, my friend Cole Gordon, great dude who's a stud at sales and digital marketing. Dude, he's got a course. We bought it like 2 years ago. That's how we became friends, for sales training. And I thought it was just sales training and stuff. And like, I was picking his brain one day. He goes, dude, just watching the course. And I was like, but we're talking about marketing. And he was like, yeah, that's in the course. And I was like, why is it called sales training then? And he's like, we cover it all. I was like, okay. So I went in the course literally for the first time in my life. And I looked at everything. I was like, holy crap, there's a lot in here. And I started going down the rabbit hole, and I literally watched 40 hours of content. And as I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, like, this, I get it. Like, I've done way harder things than the things that I need to go do. And then, each time I had a question that I wasn't sure about, I would text him, and, he'd give clarity on it, because like there was something that would be specific to my business and situation.
Sure.
But, yeah, so he's been good. I've had a lot of other people I've been reaching out to too, who've been in the game way longer than me. And, yeah, I think just putting in the work is all that really matters.
Love it. Yeah, you can learn for days, man. You got to execute on what you learn. Bro, thank you so much for spending the time to be on the podcast, man. You're a stud. I learned a ton from you. I know everybody did. We'll make sure that all your links and everything are in the description. And once again, everybody probably already follows you anyway. But appreciate you, bro. And to everybody else out there, live always with aloha.